Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm here. I am
That's
here.
A little bit of a rough start, huh?
Just been working late lately. That's all.
I will say, some work for me late. Mostly just a super unproductive, stupid week for me because I re-downloaded the apps on my phone, Facebook and Instagram and stuff, because I wanted to be able to post stories and things easier than having to pull out the whole iPad. And then I just got super lazy this week and was like, you know what, let me take a break. I'm just going to scroll for a while. And it was always at the end of the day. It wasn't during working hours or anything, but it was like, wow. So like instead of going to sleep, I would spend an hour on my phone. And I was like, while my wife's reading, like, it's usually the opposite, It's usually I want to go read and she's on her phone. But this week was just doo-doo for me. So I'm, but it happens. You know what I mean? You just, I was thinking about it on the way in. I was like, I was super motivated on the way over here, right? So we both skipped the gym this morning, which usually, again, that's you because you're actually working till midnight or something. But this morning I was like, you know what? I was up late last night. I'm just gonna just do the podcast and so on the way in I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so motivated now to fix that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why. In the past it would be, I feel like crap. I'm garbage. But now I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in the zone already today, and it's gonna be a productive day. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this whole week's been crap for me. I was really looking forward to talking about it today.
Yeah, it's
If you can't tell, I mean,
yeah. No, I typically have a coffee, and lo and behold, went to bed at I think 1:40. I think is when I finally went to bed. It's ironic you talk about sitting there scrolling on, you know, Instagram, something like that. I typically check my emails before I go to bed,
yeah.
so I know what I'm doing right when I wake up. So, like I have my task list.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the last few days have just been 12 o'clock, 1:30. So it's like I'm not even gonna try to wake up and go to the gym at 3.
Yeah.
I'm not that stupid. I need at least 4 hours of sleep to go to the gym. If not, I'm gonna go exhaust myself.
Yeah. So I'm gonna recalibrate. I'll probably delete everything back off my phone and just suck it up. Like literally the stories that we post checking in the morning, like at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I take a picture of the gym. I had to pull out my iPad like from my backpack and fucking stand there in the parking lot and take a picture of the sign.
I
That way I can check in.
Why you just don't do screen time restriction.
Because I have the password. I'm not that strong. So sometimes I can be, but for the most part, it comes up and says, "Hey, your time's up in 5 minutes," or "Your time's up. Do you want to extend it?"
No, it's not.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I
Not
did.
today.
There was a while when I put the screen time restrictions on, and I made my wife come up with a password. So when it happened, I was like, "Fuck, I don't. I really don't know." But then after a while, my wife's not gonna. Yeah, like for this, right? Say I gotta post something. I gotta do something for the podcast, which is true. I may have had to, but then it just got to the point where I was like, all right, we'll take them off because now I'm working on the podcast all the time, and then boom, garbage. So it's no big deal. I just I'll just turn them all off again and just live life. I did like 7 months without them on my phone, and it was nothing. Like there was no desire to have them or anything. This is different now because I do need them somewhere so that I can share stuff, but it was just, like I said, this week was just doo-doo for me. I was acting like a turd all week. So we all have a little bit of we go back and forth. You know what I mean? I'm not killing it every day, and that's for sure. Very clear. But so I just, you adjust and you get back at it. So it's that simple.
No, and you're not wrong about that. It's I always talk about latency, drag time, being able to actually move after.
Okay, Mr. Science.
It's more or less when you stumble and fall in entrepreneurship.
Yep.
How quickly can you just go back to work?
Right.
That turn right
Mhm.
there to just get from, uh, and I'll say the feeling of the unknown.
Yeah.
How long you sit in that and you just let that fester and you think on it and think on it and think on it. The only difference between, and I won't say the only difference, obviously, but one of the biggest difference between someone who's just getting going
Mhm.
and someone who is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years deep, even 30 years deep, is as soon as that problem arises, they know when to pivot
Yeah.
instead of just dwelling on that subject.
Absolutely. Doesn't help anybody. I had a couple of thoughts this week that I wanted to talk about. Um, and I guess, I mean, that's kind of one of them where, well, we've talked about it before, how it's a roller coaster every day in the business, right?
Yeah.
Whatever business it is. If you're an entrepreneur, it's you got your highs and lows all in one day.
Yeah, you got to
Every
try
day.
to figure out how to be in that midpoint at all times, because if you ride the wave, entrepreneurship will basically eat you alive.
This just told me I was in a loud environment.
Oh, I'm not yelling.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, I'm definitely not yelling today.
So yeah,
This
like
is
this
killing
week,
me.
let's see, I had a couple of interesting situations, right? So I sell a huge profit job, right? It wasn't a big job, but it was a
Just the
good
margin was
good amount of profit in a short amount of time. Is basically like those are the jobs I love to sell, right? Where you can turn around, you know, 15,000 in net profit in 2 weeks or a week. You know what I mean? In construction that's good for me. So I'm like, oh, cool, sold that. Let's get it, right? And then same day, right? Right after that, I have a great meeting. I go to meet with the client to pick out some granite, right? They pick out this marble slab months ago, and they told the place, hey, set this aside for us and call so I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, but essentially, when you pick out granite, you usually are picking it out from a wholesaler or a supplier.
Yeah, and it's moving over to the cutter.
They give it to the fabricator. The fabricator is who comes up with the price and sells it to us, right? The consumer.
Yep.
So they go to the wholesaler, pick out the slab. They say, please give the information to the fabricator so we can get our pricing, and then we can put a deposit and save this slab, right? That never happened. Okay, so we've all been calling. My fabricator's been calling. They've been calling. I've been calling. No answers, no nothing. So my fabricator finally says, just go down there again. You get the paperwork. You bring it to me. I'll take care of everything. And I said, okay. So I meet them over there. The slab that they picked is sitting on a truck, right? Literally, like as we're pulling in, they can see their slab on the truck. And I was like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what slab it was or anything. I was just there to help navigate the intricacies of salespeople telling stupid stories and stuff. So they're sitting there talking to the guy. Hey, can you pull that off the truck? That's our slab. Like we came here literally to get that today. We reserved it months ago. You guys never contacted us so that we could put a deposit. Blah blah blah. And they said, oh no, this location's closing down, and this is all going to our location in Melbourne Beach, which is like 2 hours away, right? And he said, okay, but can you take that off the truck and literally we'll buy it right now? And he was like, no. And he literally got in the truck and left to Melbourne. So like, and she was so set on that slab that she goes, I'm done with the whole house. I'm not building any house now. Right? So now,
That's always the case. I'm done. Well,
yeah,
think about what you just said there.
right. But like, I mean,
It's in the moment type thing.
well, it is and it isn't, because she has said that multiple times. Like, if this marble doesn't work out, then I'm like, we've looked everywhere. We can't find one. This is the one I want. If it's not there, I don't want to build a house. She's already kind of on the, she didn't want the house. She was happy where she was, and her husband wanted the house. So she was like, if we're building it, I'm doing it my way, and I want this, this, and this, right? So anyway, that slab was like pretty important. So she's going to shut down the whole house because that slab's not available anymore because this company is terrible at whatever their operation is, right? So I go from selling a great job and being really happy to, great, I'm just going to like, now I'm upset, right? Because I don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? But I also want them to be happy. You know what I mean? So what do, right?
It's not even your fault.
Yeah. So there's my day, right? So it's up and down, and then and then I get a call about somebody another job that somebody wants to do, and I'm like, okay, well, I know that I've already done multiple jobs for them. I know I'm going to get this one, so that's great. And then right after that, I get a call that, hey, this sub hasn't showed up for the last 4 days. Every time we call him, he says he's going to be there and he doesn't show up. So now our project's going to shift back 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's it. It just, you can only control so much, but that's the whole thing is do I just, all right, you know what? I'm done. I'm shutting everything down because the subcontractor's not showing up and they don't want to build a house. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, you just figure it out and move on. But like you said, that's the thing.
Well, yeah, it's just how quick can you bounce back from.
Yeah, and it's just a reaction now. It's not even like I don't even think about it. I just solve the problem and move on, right?
Yeah, I was telling someone yesterday I had some trainings that I did, and some people were asking, they're like, how do you not just burn out, but how do you prevent that emotional roller coaster? And I was like, I don't apply emotions to it. And I know how vague and how like easy that sounds, but it's a lot harder than.
Yeah, I mean, it's
said than done.
Yeah, for certain things, there's no emotion in it, right? Like if my project manager calls me and says, "Hey, the subcontractor didn't show up," right? Like the other day, I said, "Okay, call another one. Like get on Google, get on Facebook, search that type of subcontractor that we need, and call as many as you can. Find somebody that can get out there and do it. You know what I mean? That's it. Like there's no emotion there. Just get it done, fix it, and move on.
On to the next.
Yeah. But then some of the stuff, like the initial reaction, of course, is emotion, but you have to know how to shut that off because it's not like everything comes in and there's no emotion. It's the initial reaction, of course, involves emotion, right? And then you just have to realize, you have to look past that and treat it as if, treat it logically just from a business standpoint. So like, when she goes, I don't want to build this house anymore, right? My whole thought process is, good, find somebody else. You know what I mean? Like my initial emotion is, I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's been like this the whole time, right? And then, the rest of me goes, okay, you take a step back and you go, all right, let's figure out if we can get that slab back here, right? So I call my hookups, I blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we figured it out. We got the slab. It's coming back. All of her kitchen fits on the one slab, which was the big question. So we've got it, right? Solve the problem. But like initially, like if that's how you're going to react, that's how I want to react. My first reaction is, good, I'm done. And I walk away. But you can't do that. You know what I mean? You cannot act that way if you own a business. And it's...
It's funny. It's in my business, you can do that. So if I don't like you as a client on the phone, oh man, I'm done with you.
I completely agree on the initial, right?
Yeah.
Right? But if you're midway through like I am, like we've already poured a foundation.
Oh, no. Yours is a lot more binding than mine. Mine is
Yeah, yours is like a couple of time.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe 6-7 hours are spending with me tops.
Most, yeah.
Most. Yeah. You're spending months with these people.
Yeah, 6-7 months. I mean, some of them it's years, 2 years. So like I've been planning this one for over a year. Now we're building it and this happens, You just recalibrate, adjust everything. But yeah, initially I'm like, say it again. See if I walk away.
See what happens.
Yeah. But anyway, the other thing, the whole burnout thing that you had just mentioned. So I realized, kind of had an interesting realization this week that, I figured out a couple weeks ago that I'm actually burning out, right? Like that's what it is when I get sick and I can't and blah blah blah. And then probably a little bit of this week too is some burnout. I'm just exhausted, so okay, whatever, I'll scroll on my phone. You know what I mean? That's what it leads to. And I was like, it's because, and I think this is true for most entrepreneurs, right? I have so many balls spinning or so many plates that I'm juggling, you know what I mean? Which I know you do too, but like that's the thing. And I've been like that for years and I can't stop it. Like I love it, but it is also affecting, you know what I mean? It is not allowing me to excel at every single one of them. You know what I mean? Because there's so much. I don't know if you can agree with that or if you see the same thing going on for you.
This is what I will say. I have been very, very good at being self-efficient with the tasks that I do.
Uh-huh.
I typically, at any given time, I have 9 projects going right now.
Okay.
And it's not just, when I say projects, it's not just, oh, this doesn't require any time. Like, they're full-time jobs that I'm able to narrow down and be able to do an 8-hour job in an hour and a half because I'm efficient at what I do.
Yeah.
So, for me, I don't like to take on jobs I can't actually put my time into, because I used to do that, to where I was like, okay, let me do 13 jobs. And now I'm trying to explain to customer 1 why, a website isn't done because, oh, by the way, I'm helping out customer 12. Like, customer 1 doesn't care about that. If they're spending money, customer 1 wants what customer 1 wants when he wants it. So, finding that happy median on the, how would you say this? The amount of time you're working within your business. My biggest thing is this. Most of the time when you go and do your 8-hour workday and you really audit yourself, no. If you take out all those little baby distractions and you just do the task efficiently every single time, your typical 8-hour workday is not 8 hours.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But like to kind of dive in a little bit to what I'm kind of referring to for myself, right? To give the specifics is, so I own and manage and operate my construction company. Okay. So there we have at any given time 6 to 9 projects going, right? And I have a project manager, but he is not experienced enough to take care of all of that, nor is he even able to. Some of that stuff requires the license holder to participate in at the moment, right? It will get to the point where I don't have to, because I will have people in place. But right now, so we have 6 to 9 projects going on there. And 4 of those are usually pretty intense. You know what I mean? Like pretty high end, super intricate stuff that, again, he's not experienced enough in to manage those by himself, right? So it does require some time for me there. But that's just the project management. I had an office manager that I don't have anymore, so I am handling all the stuff in the office. I'm doing all the sales, all the bookkeeping, all of the anything else that isn't directly related to managing the project, right? All the other stuff that manages the company, I'm handling that. So that's one business, right? Which is a full, absolutely 80-hour-a-week job, right? Because there's just so much to managing all that efficiently and keeping things on track. So there's that. And then you and I just started another company, right? That we're trying to put time into.
Yeah, but 80 hours, that's
it can easily be 80 hours. Am I putting in the 80 hours? No, but I should be. If I want that business to, if I don't want to be working in it anymore, I need to put those 80 hours in to get the people in so that I don't have to. You know what I mean? I need to get all those systems finally set up that I've just been putting off, right? So that I can hire those people.
Why do you think I work until 12 every night?
Exactly. That's what I don't want to do. So I don't. I choose not to. I choose to spend that time with my
and
family and then go to sleep.
It's funny because we're on the flip side, because I'm only going to do this type of grinding for the next 2-3 years tops, and I'm going to be sitting back on a beach for the rest of my life.
Exactly. So anyway, that one should be 80 hours, right? I should be spending all that time working on this business, and I'm not. So there's one. We just started a new company that we're trying to put time into as well, right? Which is more for you, right? There's like a lot of the initial stuff is all you, but we still have meetings together and things like that. So that requires time. I have the real estate company, right, that I have for real estate investing. And so every time that I scroll past a freaking house or something, I go off on this thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go look for more real estate, right? I got to find something. And then I start putting all these thoughts in my head and I text all these people and start, okay, let me put an offer in here, here, and here. So there's that one, right? And then on top of that, I'm working on my pilot's license, which also requires a lot of time because there's so much involved with it that I didn't know when I got started. It's just hours and hours of stuff that I should be spending more time on to make sure that I can finish it up quickly, right? And that's like all the stuff besides my family, that I've got a kid on the way, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like, and I keep finding new things, over the last 5-6 years since I've been out of the Marine Corps. Every time something else catches my eye, I'm like, ooh, let me do that too, right? Oh, here, the podcast. I mean, literally, this is a whole nother thing that takes up hours every week for me. Like we do an hour conversation 3 times a week, but then I do all the editing, all the posting, all the, everything, right? So there's all that time too. And it's okay because I'm having fun with all of it, but like that's the reason that I haven't gotten my construction company to where it should be, where it's running itself, because I choose to work on all this other stuff and not focus all of my time to that until it's set up and then move to the next one.
Yeah,
that's what I was realizing this week. Like I should really just hammer down. I should have really just hammered down. Now I'm in the middle of all of it and I can't. But like that's what I should have done is just hammer down until this one was running itself and then move on to the next one. Hammer down until that one's killing it and then move on to the next one. But I didn't.
It's why I stress out so importantly on any of these tasks or projects that I do. In the first week or two, all it is setting up the SOP.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just repeat.
Yeah, right. And like you and I still haven't done that for hours, right? So something that we need to sit down and do, right? But again, that's what I was just mentioning and I'm again, most entrepreneurs are doing the same thing because there's a reason we work for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we want to do these things. And if you have a 9-to-5 job, you're not able to, because you're working for somebody else. You're probably not allowed to take an hour in the middle of the day and edit a podcast that you did. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to use this space to do a podcast. So,
yeah,
like all this stuff goes hand in hand, and I'm not upset about any of it, but I was just kind of realizing this week, like, well, duh, your business isn't running itself yet because you keep doing this to yourself. You keep picking all these things. So I kind of decided like, I'm going to just hunker down on these ones. And I'm gonna stop picking, you know what I mean, all these other things, like the real estate. I'll probably put that on the back seat for right now until, I've got the construction company doing a little bit better and our consulting company set up all the way. You know what I mean? That way I don't have to worry about because I keep switching pages. Like every day it's all in on real estate. Here we go. And then the next day we've got a meeting with the consulting company. So I'm like, we gotta take off on this. I gotta do this. And then everybody messages me back from yesterday when I went to put in offers on real estate. And I'm like, I gotta focus on this house I'm building in the construction. So I keep doing that. And again, I'm sure 90% of entrepreneurs are doing that. But I had my own awakening this week and went, yeah, that's why. Like, I just need to chill out for a second.
I had that more or less at the beginning of the year, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm just going to start hiring employees.
Yeah. And see, like, that's the thing is I saw an ad about hiring employees, right? and it said it was some lady talking to herself, those skits that people do, and it goes, "Man, I've got all this work. I'm just so busy." And the lady goes, "Oh, well, how about you hire somebody?" And he goes, "Well, I don't have the money to hire somebody." She goes, "Well, I would argue that hiring the right employee doesn't cost money. It makes you money, right?" Which I completely agree with. If you have the right person in there,
If
right, if you have
and
the
the
right,
amount of training that you got to give that person to get them to the right point, like, it's just a
yeah. But my whole thing is like for the new companies, right? Like when I first started, you don't even have enough money in the bank to make payroll. You know what I
let
mean?
alone go hire
Yeah. So
top
how?
talent.
Yeah. And so like how is that your argument? Like, yes, of course they will make me money, but I have to have money to pay them first. You know what I mean? Like, so I was thinking about that today. We're like, I've got that, but I don't have the time right now because I'm freaking an idiot, and I stretched myself all the way out. That sounded. So, so I don't have it in me right now to. Yeah, I guess technically I do. So anyway, I, d- I can't train somebody right now. I gotta really, recalibrate. Spend the next probably month, figuring those things out, getting things set up correctly so that I can, get all of those people, hired. Like this, if I had somebody to do all the editing and posting and all that stuff for me, that's a cheap job, right? But I can't pay somebody to do that because this isn't making money yet. You know what I mean? Although it would be perfect because I wouldn't have to worry about it. So, like, those are the things. Obviously, I know where the people need to be, but if I'm not making money,
How do you put those people in
I
place?
can't put those people in place. Same thing with the consulting company, right? Like, we just started that, and easily, we know where the people need to be, but we haven't turned our first profit on that yet. We're still starting up, right? So we can't just put someone in place day one. You have to, have a certain level of income before you can let somebody
Yeah.
in. So that's what it was just funny. And I went to one of the real estate meetups here in town a couple weeks ago, and there was a guy talking about I don't know, some just motivational guy, right? Which is all cool, whatever.
Yeah, fun for fun.
Yeah, and he was talking, and he goes, what does somebody in here need? What do you need more of?" And I said, "Time," right? As like a joke, like, of course we all need more time. And he goes, "Well, I would argue that you're not managing your time properly." And I was like, "Believe me, I freaking know that." I was like, he goes, "Why don't you hire somebody to do the stuff that you're?" I was like, "I do. I have a project manager, but my project manager isn't going to manage the 4 other company." I was like, I know where my faults are. I was just making a joke, right? Like, I know what I need to work on. And then everybody goes in, "Why don't you hire this?" I was like, guys, I know what I'm doing, okay? I know that I know exactly where I'm at and why I am where I am, okay? I just made a joke. Like, I thought I was being funny. All these people start cutting in, and I was like, guys, I got it, all right? I know what I need to do, and I know how to get there. I'm literally in the middle of getting there. It just doesn't happen overnight. So you guys that think that you get a guy in the next day your life's easier, that's not how it works.
Your life gets ultimately harder with an employee for the first few weeks
Yeah,
because they don't know anything. And even if it's a
skilled.
I'll give you a good example. My assistant that I hired came from the same industry and has done it for 4 years.
Yep.
Very highly skilled at what she does in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no, okay, here you go. And she knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I have different nuances that
Right.
I
Every
work with
business is different.
Exactly. So there was still a learning. Like, she's very highly skilled. I don't have to do anything. I literally can just tell her task and she'll go figure it out, Google it, do whatever she can not to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, she's very skilled in that sense. Like, she'll figure it out every single time and come back with a top-notch product.
Yeah.
But for the first 2 weeks, man, my phone did not stop.
Yep.
It did not stop.
Mm-hmm.
Text back and forth. Hey, I need to. Hey, this. Hey, this. Hey, this. I need to get access here. I need this. I need this.
Right,
and it's
right,
like,
right.
oh my. It was a bigger headache in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
than it was now. But now that she's trained up,
Yeah. Which,
nothing.
quick question. You said she was going to set up all of our social media stuff.
Yeah, you should see her fucking task list.
No, and see,
there you go. I finally swore.
Yeah. Yeah. Was this? This is actually like episode 18.
Yeah.
I've done it too many times, but I don't care. So, but like that, to kind of reiterate everything is you guys are too busy. You know what I mean? Like we can't hire people to set up stuff for our other company when your company takes precedence, obviously, because that's what's generating income at the moment. Same for me, right? So those are the little things that like we should have had set up already, technically before we even were advertising. We're not advertising yet, but before we were offering services, we should have had those things set up, and we didn't.
Well, but that's the thing, and that is where I think how I look upon it differs. I wouldn't say you need any of that thing set up, because before you go and do anything, you need proof of concept. You need income.
Mm-hmm.
You need something in the door. You need some type of reason to go do that X. Because here's the thing. If you just want to go start a business, yeah, it can be a hobby. But that's going to be a lot harder than actually going into a business that's going to be profitable right away.
What do you mean by that? Like what do you like?
So actually doing some market study.
Yeah, research, yep.
Before you go into whatever business you're going into. So if you want to go into pressure washing, right? And I don't know, you live in the outskirts of Anchorage, Alaska, with absolutely no concrete and only dirt. And you know what I mean? Like, why would you go be a pressure washer?
I gotcha.
And a lot of people go and do that, and they go get themselves, I'm going to go spend $2,000-$3,000 to go make nothing because they think they didn't do any test on their idea.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And that stops all of that.
I'll agree with that because ours doesn't cost money to get going, right? But we probably should have had an email set up at least.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
100%. But if we make one sale, because we have other businesses, we don't need that profit.
Yeah, right.
Which means all that profit goes right back in the business, which means if we have one good sale, we then can hire someone.
Yep.
So it's just the differences in how you go about building business
I'll agree
afterwards.
With that.
And
that's
the thing
not a bad.
That's years of business experience for us going into it. Without, at least I fully went into it knowing we don't have anything set up in that. Our experiences, our ability to sell ourselves, is what is going to sell the company.
Yeah.
We didn't need advertisement. We are the product.
Right. I agree with all that. There's just a couple of if we're consulting companies, right, we probably should have been a little more professional from the jump. Of course, first couple are not that important. Like they're important for us, but it's the specific clients that we're working with are not looking at us as if.
And we walked into it like you saw, for just the simple fact of walking into something, I went and created that entire spreadsheet. Like I had something to walk into there, so it wasn't just blank on hand, but we even talked about how we're going to use the first couple ones to more or less
figure out what it needs to look like.
What the SOP needs to be, because why haven't we created SOP? Because we don't know what the SOP is yet.
No, and I agree with that. But like, for example, yesterday, go back to the email thing, they were sending out some...
you sent from your email, not the
content
business email.
To us, and he goes, "Where do you want me to send this?" And I was like, "Shit, we should probably have an actual email address set up." So I was like, "Just send it to me."
It will be done today. It's just it literally.
Yeah. And I wasn't saying that to say you have a terrible assistant. No, I was just saying
sure.
That's
I'll go to bat for that one.
Yeah, that's part of our being. I gotta use different words. Being spread out, right? That's also not good. But either way, that's part of us taking on all this stuff. But again, I wouldn't change it. I'm not saying I wish I would have just done one thing only. I'm just realizing I should focus more energy on getting the one that's going to be a high producing. Get that running itself, and then I'll have more time to get the rest of this stuff cranking. You know what I mean? That's just some advice for somebody, because it's going to happen to almost every entrepreneur. You're going to want to do a bunch of stuff.
So that is the hardest thing is how how, and I don't know, you could probably contest this. What made you your first $100,000?
Mm-hmm.
It was being consistent with one job.
Yeah.
As soon as you broke past that, somehow it was okay. I need to, and I'm not saying like directly, but same thing happened to me. It's as soon as I went past that, I was like, okay, I needed to be doing something differently to get $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. There has to be meaning. I need to add on more tasks, and 9 times out of 10, that's the opposite. If you just double down on the one, most millionaires become a millionaire in one field, and then they go and split it when they have the money to do so.
Right. And that's like I'm doing that early, but and you know, to one of the clients that we're working with was like the same thing all over the place, right? But that's what entrepreneurs do. It's just if you can channel that onto one at the beginning, it'll save you some headache later on. But you're still going to do, like, here's another example, right? So I mentioned those 5 things: the construction, consulting, real estate, pilot's license, podcast, right? And then there's my personal life stuff, right? Like I just got a free golf cart, right? From one of my clients. They said, do you want this? So I took a free golf cart, right? Now I am infatuated with wanting to put a lift kit on it and like work on the golf cart, right? Like I just want to go home and do stuff to the golf cart and customize it, you know, just for fun, right? But that's also now I got to find time to do that because I want to do that so bad. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to waste money on that right now. In the future, I will definitely be doing that because it sounds fun. But like as soon as we got that thing home, for the first 2 or 3 days, I was like YouTubing. Oh my gosh, how do I
could just see you doing loops in your backyard.
I haven't done that. What are you talking about? I literally run the dogs now doing that because they need to get their energy out. So I just literally do laps and run the dogs. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, that was like one of those other things that I know a lot of people do, right? Is they go, oh, I got this new toy. Let me go spend $1,000 on stuff that I don't need for it and then spend hours working on it because it makes me feel good, right? So like for the first 2 or 3 days, I was like, I'm going to get new tires. I'm going to get a lift kit. I'm going to change this.
I'm going to say 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed gratification.
Gratification.
Yeah.
Gratisfaction.
Jeez.
That's a good one.
It's too early.
Gratisfaction. You put
gratification. Jeez.
Yeah, I like that. But anyway, that's like,
damn, it's too early.
That's where I know a lot of people will also derail themselves.
Sorry, I can't get over it.
No, I mean, literally, I've never, like, you combine the 2 words, and it's good. Like, that's a good one. There's some that you have had in the past that are not good, but that one, I like that one.
Gription.
Yeah.
Car's not good enough gription here.
Yeah. Oh.
Just so everyone could hear that one in a sentence. I make up words if you can't tell.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, that has a solid meaning.
It's funny, like you and Carissa. Like Carissa uses it too now because of you, and she will fight you. That is a real word. Is it?
What?
Gription. I gotta look it up now.
I don't even know.
I'm like 80% confident that that's not a real word. Nah. Gription. No, it's not. Okay. I was like, the first one said gription, blah 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 blah, and I was like, no way, that's real.
Gratisfaction. That's
gratisfaction. Yeah, we're gonna have to get a whole Rudolf dictionary and just start. But anyway, I forgot where I was. But I know that'll derail a lot of people. You know what I mean? Those personal things like
gratisfaction. Yeah, definitely derails people.
You said delayed satisfaction or delayed gratification. That was the word that you were trying to say. Yeah, now I was about to.
I threw gratification and satisfaction. Jeez.
Okay.
See, guys, this is why I'm system orientated. I did not pass English.
Orientated isn't one either.
Is today's just
it's good.
Off day?
It's good.
Orientated.
Doesn't matter.
Orientated isn't a word?
Oriented.
See, look at this. We'll sit here all day. Like, I've been using words like, I must be throwing people off when I talk because they'll be like, damn, what the hell did you just say?
Yeah.
And I'm going like, I'm just confident with what I say. And
There's been a couple others on the podcast too, but it doesn't, it's not, who cares, right? But it's just funny. So yeah, delayed, now I'm going to say it again, delayed gratification is what you were going to say. And yes, that's, someday I'll do it, right? But it was hard this week. I was like, I'm going to get the stuff now. I'm going to spend this weekend working on it. But I don't, you don't need to do that. You need to look and go, is this going to propel me in the right direction, or is it going to delay whatever I'm working on, right? That's income producing. So it took, like, I was hard because it was free. You know what I mean? I didn't spend any money on it. Now I'm going to spend some money and make it really nice. Make it my way, right? It was hard for me to just say, you know what, you're an idiot. Stop doing that. Stop even Googling this stuff. It works, and it was
Someone
free.
needs to take your debit card away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, I order this stuff, and I can just put it on a business. You know what I mean? It's a business expense. I use the golf cart I can make up something, you know what I mean? And use it for that a couple of times, and now it's a business expense.
Just get a trailer. And because your truck can't fit into the areas.
Yeah. But, like, see, that's
commercial job, so your truck doesn't sink.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put a spray tank on the back of it so I could spray weeds and stuff around my house. So now I can just use that to, spray bugs for termites at clients' houses, and boom, business expense. So that's the whole thing, right?
This is not tax advice.
Yeah.
Go to an accountant. Please go to an accountant.
Yeah. But I mean,
Please.
okay, but that also, like, completely legal what I just said. So we're definitely not. We're not CPAs. Don't listen to us.
Yes.
So, yeah, but like that's another thing that could have taken away from, you know what I mean? Another task that I'm going to work on outside of what I should be focused on. So, and I know everyone else, not everyone, but I would say 90% of other people, especially that one, that they can relate to. Like, they've got all these people spending money on their vehicles that they don't need to be spending. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, I want a new exhaust system. Why? Like,
because it purrs.
Yeah. Like, when I was in high school, right? Like, that's what we wanted to do to our vehicles.
When we were in high school, I had a little hanger holding up the muffler because it was broken.
Right.
I wasn't trying to it was replacing it with a part that worked, not.
No, I understand. Same here, right? But, like, I wanted to do those things.
I remember I put a speaker in the back. Why? Because it was a free speaker.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that freaking speaker.
It was stupid massive for no reason. Definitely for the Jeep.
We didn't even have an amp for it, so you were literally just putting the speaker.
Oh, no, I wired it up to the back speakers.
Yeah.
So it was just
a speaker.
It was just a speaker. It wasn't even
a
sub
subwoofer,
nothing. Yeah. No, it was just loud.
Yeah, so that, but, like, that's okay when you're in high school, you're young, it's normal to be able to want to do those things. But when you're 25, 30, why are you still doing that?
Okay. I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
For those 9 to 5 people out there
mm-hmm.
who only work 40 hours a week.
Yep.
And they have extra money to spend on the weekends. And their cars and just junkies. You're right. Is it, going to progress them towards the future at all? No, but if they're already saving everything, this is what I will say. What brings you joy is different for everybody.
Right.
Is it not the best to have a very, very, very expensive hobby like cars? No, it's not you're gonna be hurt. But can't knock people.
No, it's the people that are living paycheck to paycheck
that are doing that
and still doing that.
No, I agree with that statement
like,
at all. But if you see how I work that up, if you have everything put in place,
then yes, and that's why
go for it.
If
not, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're still trying to play with RC planes, it's time to grow up.
Yeah. Or at least for a little while, right? Like, just until you've got it figured out. But, like, And so like I the golf cart example, right? That stuff doesn't happen to me very often where I'm infatuated on doing something like that on the side, like a hobby like that. It's usually like my wife will be able, like if you ask my wife, she'd say she would agree with this, but like I usually look at stuff and I'm like, that's not going to make me any money. Like I don't want to spend time doing that. I'm not making money. You know what I mean? And then once in a while, something like the golf cart comes along where I'm like, I am not a mechanic, but I want to put a lift kit on this
I'll
thing.
figure this
I
out.
want to lift it 6 inches, put some big stupid tires on this thing. And what does that solve? Nothing. It just makes me feel better, right? But that like it doesn't happen very often for me. I don't spend money on myself next to ever, right? Sometimes in the business, I need a new tool, right? So I'll buy a new tool, and that's like the closest thing to me spending money on myself. I just don't do it. I haven't bought my own shoes, underwear, or socks since I've been married. I don't even know what size shoe I wear anymore because my wife buys my shoes.
No, it's funny. I haven't bought a pair of shoes in 2-3 years, and Abigail's bought in every single pair. For the clothes wise, Abigail has bought
Same with my clothes.
all the.
I bought these for the business, and I wear these every day. Outside of that, the only shirts that I have are whatever my wife or my wife's parents have bought me.
No, everything that I'm wearing right now, my wife has bought me.
Exactly. I do not spend money on myself. I'm lucky that way, I guess, because, maybe obviously we grew up a little different, but I just don't have the desire to spend money on myself. But all these other people who are living paycheck to paycheck, we know a couple that are out at thrift stores every weekend or are out, just buying unnecessary stuff just to spend the money.
I just feel that the entire United States the entire United States has an issue with money. The correlation with it is just not there. They don't understand how money works, but again, it's how the U.S. is designed because it holds people down.
Yeah.
Holding people down is what makes people the most money on the top.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a very good way, obviously.
We're not
wrong.
advocating for communism.
No, by any means. Like it's a perk but also a con of capitalism.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're free to do whatever you want with your money. Absolutely, it's great.
But then you're at your own free will, and that's the issue. Most people don't have the free will.
Well,
that is needed to be disciplined.
It's the opposite. They don't have the discipline necessary. Actually exactly what you said, but everybody has free will.
Yeah.
To an extent, right? Like we're allowed to do. Actually, we are allowed to do whatever we want.
You're allowed to do whatever you want.
Some things have consequences that you have to deal with, but you are allowed to do whatever you want in America, thankfully. But yeah, and I think that stems from like education. Like the schools don't. There's no teaching that. You know what I mean?
When was the last time that you can remember the school that we went to, talking about budgeting or inflation?
Yeah. So
I can think back a little bit in PIG.
Yeah, but there was no budgeting. Inflation for sure. You talk about.
Yeah, but
so PIG is participation in government.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, geez, just a pig.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where the U.S. puts it on your family's dynamic to teach that type of literacy, and what literacy meaning financial literacy.
Right. Yeah, and like we had, I was thinking about this the other day too. Business class in high school, actually even in college. Like I did one business class in college, right? I learned nothing about. I learned nothing worth or useful for owning a business. I just learned stupid things. I don't even know how to explain this, but none of it had anything to do with owning a business. It was just a little bit about what a business is really. So like there needs to be somebody in there teaching you if in my opinion, if it's a business class. yeah, you should be learning how to operate a business or how a business operates, not what a business like I can't think of the specifics off the top of my head as to what I was learning in there, but it was nothing useful is all I can remember. You know what I mean? I remember like because when I was in college, the plan was to go start my own business at some point, and I'm in the business class going, what in the hell am I gonna what am I gonna do
With this.
yeah, with a Fortune 500 company that I don't even remember what I think I had to find a high level individual in a company, interview him, and that was it. Like that was like my final was interview this guy and see what his job is. And I was like, how does that help me in owning a business if I know what this guy's job is? That's it. Like I didn't have to ask him, what are how do you own the company? How do how do you work with the owner? Like there was nothing about owning. It was just what is your position? That was it. That's all I had to figure out. And that was my final, but the rest of the semester was so stupid. Like I remember thinking that at the time going this is not going to help anybody in this class own a business. And looking back, I don't think any one of them own a business right now. Like it didn't make any sense to me.
So, but I need you to understand something. You were in a business management class. Business development class?
Business something, I don't know what it was.
Okay. If it didn't have entrepreneur in the name of it,
Right, yeah.
you're going to learn how to be an employee.
That's what they teach. That was the whole point that I was getting to is
Okay. I was like,
everyone's teaching you to be an employee, but nobody's teaching you to be an employee and then use like the correct financial literacy involved with being an employee to set yourself up. They just teach you need to work 30 years, you need to retire, you save
you
up.
ready for this? And I'm saying this in such, because this is what I deal with every day. Because like
Yeah,
what you
right,
just
right.
talked about is I literally sit down with people and go, use the traditional retirement methods
Yeah.
that the government has planned for you. Let's go ahead and break down the last 30 years in America and how the government has been pushing you to be stupider. And then you're trying to tell me that you want to go with the government's 401k and you want the government to touch your money.
Yeah.
So what if there's a way we could remove the government,
Mm-hmm.
give you the option of safety and growth in one product?
Yeah. That's
Like,
exactly.
it's the pitch.
Yeah. So, that's I don't know how we got onto that subject, but anyway, we're at about an hour now.
Disclaimer: I'm not selling anything here. Do not contact me about that.
Yeah. No, we're just making a point that like
Yes.
that's what's been taught for so long, and honestly, I was thinking about like, maybe in a couple years I should go like back to the high school and say, let me do a business class. Let me teach these kids what they need to know, right? But then I have to go get a teaching degree and all this crap.
That
I'm not
that
doing
is
any of that.
where you're just like, okay, hey, let me forefront trying to get a new curriculum. Like I can't,
Close enough.
in there to be able to go, hey, this is what the kids should be learning. Let me go, try to get 1 million people to sign it in this state to put it in force.
That's a lot of work too.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's not, but that's something I would do, like philosophy wise.
I wouldn't even, again, in our position, I wouldn't do that, but I would get the people in place to say, hey, this is what it needs to look like. Go get those signatures. You know what I mean? You go do that. I'll back you, but go take care of this in my name. I don't care, but I'm not going to run around and knock on doors and petition and all that. You know what I mean? But I understand what you're saying. Like, yeah, that would be the next step there. But I like doing this, and I would love to teach them. You know what I mean? I didn't know in school that I would ever like to teach people things, but I love it, just like you do. You know what I mean? I like to help. I like to teach. So someday, I could see myself doing that. But it would probably be outside of that. I've got an idea for like setting up a club. You know what I mean? For an after school thing. And because I don't think I can be a teacher without having a degree, but like having an after school thing where kids come to learn how to be adults, because they don't have that. They're not teaching you to be an adult. They're teaching you to go to school. They're just teaching you to go to college, and then college teaches you nothing. You know what I mean? Again, unless it's a specific,
Well, the thing is, so it's ironic you bring that. I know we're a little late here.
Oh, we're still good. We're still under an hour.
So it's something that has been dawning on me. I work with in the last year, hundreds of brokers, financial advisors, insurance agents. And the craziest thing is this. I feel like my time is wasted because only a portion of those people actually take what I say and show them and actually implement it at the right level.
Yeah.
I feel that my time would be so much more better spent around the youth, meaning the 15, even maybe like teens upwards that have that forward thinking and already is trying to elect to get into those positions. I'd so much rather sit down with a group of them and teach them and have them ask questions to a business owner to get that type of stuff.
Yep.
It's that because they're going to take that and run with it, because if they're already doing that now, if they're already notioning that they're going to need to do this to become a business owner.
Right.
They're already taking action vice half the adults that don't know how to take action.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing to teach.
Yeah,
It's like your time isn't, I don't want my time to be wasted. And I think the best place would be is to teach the kids who actually want to learn.
Yeah, because the adults, as you said, don't know how to take action. They might, but they've got the bad habits built in, and it's really hard to change that after you've been doing it for 20 years. You know what I mean? Exactly. I've got that idea. Someday we'll enact it. You know what I mean? We talk about this as an entrepreneur. I've got probably 1,000 ideas a day, and I've started writing them down, and it's getting overwhelming, like all the stuff that I've thought of that I would like to do someday. But at least I'm writing them down and not just pulling the trigger on them like I've been doing. You know what I mean? Like we've got, like I said, those 5 things. I need to finish up the pilot's license. I need to get this. Before I flip you off, I'll stop doing that.
Okay.
I need to get this business running by itself, finish up the pilot's license, and then, and the real estate I'm going to put on hold. I almost did it again. So then things get easier. But like I'm going to get those things taken care of. I'm in the middle of all of them. Now I've got to tighten them all up before I move on to the next one. So
see, that's why I like the consulting, because typically you can exit quick if you need to. It's not long-term commitments. Unless if you like set up some type of system, you got to do management, but
right.
do that typically very low yield. And you're able to take on multiple projects at one time. And just so everyone, like, all the projects that I'm going at, they are all different in the sense of, like, I'm not saying, hey, my insurance company, I'm consulting 4 people. Those are all 4 different jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I will say with that, as many as many projects that I have going, they are all, I know the limit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because I've passed that limit before. And the quality of your work starts to go down. And the last thing that I always tell people is, hey, I would rather you wait 3 months to work with me, and then month 2 you go, I'm going to go someplace else. This isn't long enough, or, hey, you're taking too long, my bad.
Yeah.
Then for them to wait, or me try to do it that moment, and then it takes a month and a half to finish a task that should only take a week.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I have learned that too for my company. Like I said, we have 6 to 9 projects going at a time. I will not let it get to 10 or past 10, right?
I need sleep.
Well, not that, but like you said, things get forgotten. There's no way that unless I have multiple project managers, there's no way that I can get 10 and do them all correctly. Something drops off, something gets forgotten, something gets missed, and some client ends up unhappy, right? I've learned that. I don't do it. The project manager is responsible for no more than 5 at a time, right? So the other ones that we've started aren't actually started yet. They're in permitting or something, so he's not actively working on those. The other ones, we might have 2 or 3 finishing up while those 2 or 3 are in permitting. But that's how I plan those out. And if somebody comes to me like right now, like those 2 that I was just talking about, like I sold one.
We got a 6 month wait. I'm sorry.
I sold one really good one, and they say, all right, when can you start? And I look at the schedules for the jobs, and I know that I'm finishing up one in, 3 months, right? I'll tell him 4 or 5 months at the, and then when I finish that one in 2 months because I scheduled everything correctly, then I say, hey, surprise, I'm ready now. You know what I mean?
So I I think just so everyone can catch that, the concept he's doing, and it's a sales concept, is under promise, over deliver on
UPOD.
everything.
Use the UPOD method; it'll change your life.
I strive off it. I set up my sales presentation that way to where I under promise, like hardcore, and then I over deliver.
Yeah. So I know you can do it and tip for my industry, right? If you're in the trades or in construction at all, whenever they like ask you for a quick ballpark over the phone, shoot real high, right? If they
shoot high and your timelines need to be long.
Yep. And if they shy away from it, then okay, not your client, right? If they say, okay, when can you come out to do a formal estimate? Whenever you go out there, you'll find out, okay, hey, it's actually, $2,000-$3,000 less than that, depending on what your trade is. You know what I mean? So that's great news. Then they're happy, right?
Yeah.
And then, the timeline, you say, yeah, it's going to be, like I just said, 4 months before I get here. And then you show up, you call them in 2 months and say, hey, I'm ready. Then they're even more excited, right? So now you have, again, you under-promised and then you over-delivered. That's a client you have for the rest of your life, as long as you actually deliver, right? Like you got to follow up with a good product, but as long as you actually deliver, that's a client you have for life, and that's an endless stream of referrals and because everybody they talk to now, they're going to talk to you about you, even if that person's not in the market for whatever you're doing. They're going to say, I had such a great experience with this person.
And that's the thing is, let's say it was, for a front porch.
Yeah.
Right? Every time someone comes over and goes, wow, that's a nice front porch. Hey, this guy, Goose, awesome guy. He actually was able to do it 2 months early. It was random, but it was awesome. Like,
my gosh, I don't think I've ever told anybody that my nickname's Goose on here.
oh,
So, like, it's so funny too because in New York, nobody like in not in New York, but in
I know
in
everybody here. They don't know Chaitin.
in high school, it was Chaitin or everybody that couldn't pronounce it. I got called Chitlin. I got called whatever the hell Jim used to call me. I got called just random stuff, but it was usually my first name, Chaitin, right? And then I went to college. Somebody gave me the nickname Goose there, so they knew me as Goose. And then I joined the Marine Corps. My last name is Giessen, right? It lasted 15 seconds in boot camp, and my drill instructor called me Goose. Literally, to this day, there are people that do not know I have another name.
Well, I mean, it's ironic, and it's obviously I don't attain by it at all, but it's ironic because Marine Corps, same nickname, like Leon, he calls me Goose.
Yeah. But like, it's less prevalent for you, I'm sure, and I don't know why, right? Like, there are people that call you, like, we have our cousin, his nickname's Goose, but it's normal because it's our,
Oh, yeah.
Mark, his nickname is Goose. But like mine, I literally have people that don't know I have another name.
Yeah, but the difference is this. You refer to yourself as Goose.
Because my name is Chaitin. And that is a...
My name is Rudolf.
Okay, you almost just put that mic all the way down your
I
throat.
meant to put it in the mic like that. My name is Rudolph. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
But Rudy, like everybody calls you Rudy.
Yeah, but do I go by Rudy?
Yes. I've never
You
once
ready for
called
this?
you Rudolph.
You ready for this though? You call me Rudy. Everybody in the business world calls me Rudolph.
Yeah, but still,
There is no nicknames.
that one is easier to comprehend than Chaitin because it's a freaking reindeer's name. Like, people have heard it. Nobody's ever heard Chaitin. You know what I mean? That's my point. So when they see my name, they don't know how to read that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
That's all I'm saying is your name is more widely known. It's literally, obviously it's spelled different, right?
yeah,
But everybody knows that name. Everybody.
you think.
Okay. 90% of the people should know that name if they have ever heard or if they know of the holiday, Christmas, you know what I mean? But like, again, Chaitin, you write that down. To this day, I love it when people are looking at my name, getting ready to say it. I'm like, go ahead. What you got? What you gonna add an L in there? You gonna call me Caitlin? What do you got? Give me your best. You know what I mean?
But it's really like, it's not you got one eye in the middle that can throw people off.
There's nothing that can throw people off, but it does.
And that's why I'm saying you have one eye.
Yeah.
Make the silence and you're good.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But again, it just became easier to say Goose. So there again, people. I have a story about, just real quick, because we are now over an hour and we should probably shut this thing down. But in college, the guy that gave me the nickname Goose, right? I broke down one day. My truck needed to jump the battery, right? And I called everybody I could call. They were all in class. He wasn't. So I called him and I go, hey, man, it's Chaitin. Can you come over and give me a jump? And he goes, who the fuck is this? And I was like, it's Chaitin. My battery's dead. And he goes, I don't know you, and hung up the phone, right? I was like, what the heck, dude? So I call him back and he goes, yo, lose my fucking number, right? And I was like, yo, it's Goose. And he goes, oh, he goes, I didn't know you had another name. And then he came over and helped me. But like, that's it. A lot of people just, it became easier after the military, and now most of the time I just start, I will now. I used to just say Goose, like don't even give my other name, but now I'll say Chaitin, but my nickname is Goose. And then they go, oh, okay, that's easier. And then they just stick with Goose. And I'm fine with it. Like, I don't mind. It's fine with me. So, a lot of people are bothered by it, but I don't care. I prefer it over my actual name for most of it, especially now that I got a son on the way who's going to have the same name as me, because then it'll get interesting.
Yeah, that will get interesting.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. So, okay. Anyway, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Anything else you want to add before we head out of here? I just want to say, try and stay focused on one thing. Don't do what I'm doing right now, because it's not sustainable. You know what I mean?
But also, let me make that point. You were over 100,000.
Yeah.
That's the real key. The hardest part in any type of business is getting to that $100,000 mark. Once you're there, you can then really, you have a good footing.
Yeah, I would recommend wait till $1 million.
I agree with you 100%. I agree.
Which I'm over that too, but it's still, I could be further if I would just stay
Focus on one thing
and get serious about this one thing for a little bit longer. You know what I mean? But anyway, and then also from the very beginning, I had a shitty week this week. So whenever that happens to you guys, just recalibrate, get back after it. Don't let yourself dwell on all the problems that you're having. So like today, I'm going to be 10 times more productive than I've been all week. And then next week's going to be even better. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.